and says, I've been seeing these Fascenelli judge posters everywhere. I finally Googled it and found out it's actually you. Good stuff.
Oh, here we go.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We're a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. And it's been a while. Fred Fascenelli is with us, candidate for judge. Welcome.
Well, good morning. How are you?
Glad to have you with us.
It's nice to be back. It's been really busy the last couple of years, and it's nice to be back here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. We have an interesting chat this morning. But let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money. I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today National Life Insurance Day.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you need it? I'm just going to ask that question. Well, maybe you do. National Truffle Day. Okay, I like truffles, depending upon what they're on. I mean, let's move right along. Let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones down 153 points. NASDAQ down 19. The S&P 500 is down 19. NASDAQ is flat, down 0.94. Oil down 31 cents a barrel. That's made a big recovery today. I thought it was down about $4 earlier. So we'll see what's going on in the oil market. Although right here in the state of confusion, I don't know that we want to really look at this. But we will. Our tremendous underwriter, Lori, she's paying $3.87 a gallon of gasoline. Think about that. Louisiana, that's the average for the state, $3.87. Josh is down there at $5.09 a gallon. Not too bad, although he's probably missing that $3.90 from last week. $5.09. But hey, right here in the formerly Golden State, $5.74 a gallon. I think there's a new gas tax that went in, I think it was yesterday. Wait. We don't have gas taxes in California. It's called fees. So because they couldn't get taxes passed, they put a fee on. So now I think it's about 25% of what we're paying for a gallon goes to taxes and fees. $4.19 is what the rest of the country is paying. So we're about $1.60 a gallon more than the rest of the country. And the oil producing state of Hawaii, you're right. They don't produce oil. $5.25 a gallon in Hawaii. Unbelievable. Now, if you want to know, think about this, because I know I watched. Well, no, I didn't watch. I saw some lowlights from the White House Correspondents' Dinner last night. And it was fascinating listening to the out-of-touch president make some comments there. Has no clue what's going on. I mean, he was able to at least read the teleprompter, and he didn't try and shake hands with nobody, so that was pretty good. But I want to share some information with you, and maybe this president, maybe somebody can send him a copy of the recording of our broadcast. It might help, because when you hire poorly, yes, when you hire a president, that can be hired poorly, and your senators, they do a poor job also. Here's what you get is you look at gasoline prices, and under the former president, I think they're down around $2 a gallon, maybe for California, the high twos, because of all of our taxes and fees, rest of the country in twos. Now we're double that. But why would that be? Maybe it's because we've put some people on the Federal Reserve Board that have no clue what they're doing. Now I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to give you some information. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our social channels, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're going to see some charts and some data. First off, let's take a look at one of the Fed presidents. This is Loretta Mester. Let's see what Miss Mester had to say. She's the Cleveland Fed president. April 5th, 2021. I'm unconcerned with inflation running away from us. Now, that's about 13 months ago. 12 months ago, I'm not worried about inflation getting out of control. May 6, 2021, quote, the Fed needs inflation expectations and real inflation to rise. Well, she got her wish. August 27th, Ms. Mester, quote, by the end of the year, I expect inflation to be between 3.5% and 4% with a drop in 2022. Now, by the end of 2021, we were at about double her expectations. And are you seeing any drops in coming up? No. And you won't, because they're not going to start even flattening until we give you the reports in October for September numbers. We understand that. Now, why would this be the problem? Well, maybe the people that are on the Fed presidents, maybe they have no clue what they're doing. I will give you some information. And again, the chart is right there on the screen. John Williams, New York Fed president. You know what his work experience is? Now, you might need a long piece of paper for this one. He worked for the Federal Reserve. That's his only work experience. Jim Bullard, St. Louis Fed president. Guess where he's worked? His resume is pretty short also. He only worked for the Federal Reserve, as did Esther George of Kansas City and Mary Daly of San Francisco. Never worked anywhere but the Federal Reserve. Now, in Boston, we have an interim Fed president, because the other one was kicked out. Kenneth Montgomery only worked for the Federal Reserve. Meredith Black, Dallas interim president, only worked for the Federal Reserve. Are you getting a little bit of a picture here? Now, at least it shouldn't take Congress or the Senate too long to confirm these people, because they don't have anything to look at. Now, we look at Chicago, Charles Evans, Atlanta, Raphael Bostic, Philadelphia, Patrick Harker, Cleveland, Loretta Mester. Their only work experience is for the Federal Reserve and academia, teachers. Gives you a lot of experience, doesn't it? Now, let's look at the two that have outside experience. Thomas Barkin from Richmond and Lael Brainerd, the vice chair. They've only worked for two different organizations. Number one was the Federal Reserve. Number two is a company called McKinsey. Now, if you want to do a little bit of a quick, and I just report this. So you want to do a little bit of a Wikipedia search for McKinsey and see what McKinsey's background is. Now, I'm just reporting the data that comes out from Wikipedia, right? So McKinsey, they're a management consulting firm who has experience with Enron. Do you remember Enron? That was a good one, right? So they've got experience with Enron. They've got, let's see what else we can find here. Consulting. There was a few of them that were really, really interesting organizations that you can find that they work with. Maybe some of them might not have had the best outcomes in the world. Now, I don't know whether it's McKinsey's issues or they came in late or what the deal is, but this is an organization. I don't know that that's where you want to get your great data from, but I know that there's a whole bunch of them in here in the report, and I should have highlighted them so I can find them quicker, but not a great reputation there either. So when you're looking at the folks that are making the decisions, and arguably the most important decisions in the entire country as far as economically come from the Federal Reserve. Yeah, I know you got the people at the Treasury, but they're not the ones that are giving out this information. They're not the ones buying mortgage-backed securities. Well, that would be from the New York Fed president. They're not the ones that are buying the 10-year treasuries and financing the government to overspend. It's all these folks at the Federal Reserve. And what kind of experience do they have in trying to balance the books or know if gas prices are going up, supply chain is working, any of these issues? Well, they have none. And you wonder why we are in the state that we're at right now. Elections have consequences. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, today's home price appreciation is great news for existing homeowners. Are we looking at a soft softening of the real estate market? We'll talk about that. And hey, how about learning, why do we vote for judges? Maybe at some point in time, they're going to vote for us. I don't know, but we're going to talk and learn about that part as well with our guest, Fred Fascenelli. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to call 800-306-1990. Let's see what the markets are doing this morning. S&P 500 now down 3.35. The 10-year Treasury up 11 basis points to 2.99 is the yield on that. Mortgage-backed securities down 23 basis points. That's now remember, whenever the mortgage-backed securities go down, that means interest rates are going up, regardless of what you hear in the media. So I will share with you, we talk about this regularly, but April 21st, yes, Freddie Mac said that mortgage rates are 5.11%, went down a tick on their April 28th reading to 5.1, but, I like to give you the real numbers, and I'll tell you why I say the real numbers. Freddie Mac does their survey Monday through Wednesday. They report it Thursday morning. We give you the real numbers. That would be OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions. Friday's number, loans locked Friday, 5.415. 5.415. That's an average. So some were a little lower, some were higher. Doesn't tell us what kind of points were given or received. 5.415. Jumbo loans, 5.275. That's FHA. Jumbo loans were 4.89. So ironically enough, a jumbo loan is locking at about a little over a half a point less than the conforming loans at 5.415. Now, you can get some of that information if you know where. Obviously, here at Ron Siegel Radio, we give it to you. But why is all of that happening? Well, a lot of it has to do with the inflation numbers that we've talked about. And I don't want to get into that anymore other than to say Wednesday, the Federal Reserve will be announcing that they're going to increase interest rates for the discount rate by 0.5%. So that'll take them up to about 0.75%. Most of your HELOCs are about 6 points above that. So if you're looking at a home equity line of credit, you're looking at about 6 points above that 0.75. So 6.75. That will continue to go up. Does not have bearing on mortgage rates. So, but they've got to do their stuff. I gave you all the information about the Federal Reserve and how wonderful they are and what their background is. We're going to get a lot of data this week. So Wednesday, we're going to get the ADP jobs report. And Friday, we'll actually get the big BLS jobs report. We'll see what those do for the market. Remember, I get a lot of calls right now. People are saying, well, Ron, I got to get locked in on our interest rate because interest rates are going up and I want to get locked in on it. Well, I want you to remember this. Yes, the Federal Reserve has an effect on the discount rate and HELOCs. They do not have an effect on mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are going to continue to go up the rest of this year. Mortgage rates do not like inflation. Next year, when we have our recession, we'll see mortgage rates drop if history repeats itself. And in a recession, real estate values increase. Other than one time, now 2008 is an anomaly because the mortgages or the real estate world created a recession. So it wasn't a fact that the recession caused rates to drop or values to drop. But that's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990. So let's learn. Fred Fascenelli is with us. Good morning.
Well, good morning.
Glad to have you back.
It's great to be back. Really appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Well, you know something? When you came in way back when, you educated me on why I should not be so anti-defense attorney.
Okay.
If you remember that way back when.
Oh, yeah.
And you educated me on why it is that, and I was glad that you did educate me. But politics, getting into running for an elected office.
Well, it's just kind of like the next step. After 28 years of doing either civil, criminal, or family law, it's time to take that education and bring it to the bench and help people along as far as the public.
Helping the public, I can understand, but boy, these days in politics, though.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And I'll tell you that most people. A couple of things, if I can. You are totally right. I was listening to you listening to you about the Fed, and you're talking about experience matters.
Right.
And that, let's just put it this way: there are judges that sit in criminal, judges that sit in civil, judges that sit in family and probate, and all these other different subsections of the law. And if your only experience of the law is I prosecute child molesters and murderers, then what are you going to do when you have a family saying, hey, I want the family dog? Are you going to look at the family dog as a child molester or a murderer?
Right. Yeah.
All right. So you need to have that life experience. And I bring that to the table.
So explain this to me, if you would, Fred, because I don't understand. I think I study the news and politics and the world of what's going on a lot. I don't understand the election of a judge just because. How would I ever know? I mean, you don't have the same background data. Maybe you don't have the same level of commercials knowledge. I mean, I saw the other day on one of your signs. I just happened to be walking and I saw it, and it said Fred Fascenelli for judge number 22.
Correct. All right.
Okay.
So,
what is that? Does that mean there's 22 people in the race, or
no? So first of all, you're not alone. Most lawyers don't understand how judges get picked.
Okay.
And
I thought they were appointed.
Well, many times they are if the seat becomes open at a particular time. So in Orange County, there are approximately 122 judge seats. Now, those judge seats are just numerical identifiers for that position. It doesn't mean that judge seat number 1 is a family court judge and judge seat number 2 is a criminal judge. It just means we have to have 120 judges, and we just number them 1 through 120 or 122. In this case, it keeps on expanding. The county gets bigger, so we need more and more judges. So it's been expanded a little bit. But right now, I'm running for seat 22. That used to be Judge Lewis's seat. Judge Lewis has retired at the end of his 6-year term. All judges are appointed to a 6-year term or are elected to a 6-year term. If they are appointed in the middle, well, then they serve up until the time that 6-year term is up. The county has elections every 2 years for 1/3 of those judges. And so it rotates 1/3 every 2 years, 1/3 every 2 years. So if somebody retires in the middle of their term, the governor, he gets to appoint somebody. If that judge sticks it out to the end of his or her term, and he or she wants the people to pick the next judge, then they'll retire at a particular time, and that seat opens for election.
Can you run for what would it be called? Reappointment, reelection? If you're appointed by the governor and then want to keep that seat, would be running for that seat or for as an incumbent?
So right now, 1/3 of the Orange County judiciary is up for reelection. If nobody runs against them, you never even know they're being reelected.
Wow.
Okay. Nobody ran against them. They just, come in by default.
They get they vote for themselves and they're in.
Pretty much. So
how do you decide that you wanted seat number 22?
Well, this year is really historic. There are 9 seats open. We've had a good friend of mine, Frank Ospino. He was actually the public defender for the county of Orange, and he was appointed to become a judge, and he served for 2 terms, which have been about 12 years, and he just passed away. So that seat was seat 30. That just came up for election, and there are 5 people in that seat. I'm running against a former Orange County District Attorney. You may have read about him. He was in the paper. Todd Spitzer terminated him for not turning over evidence to the defense.
Well, that's special.
Yeah. So he was Todd Spitzer's shining star, as he quoted it. And then after some investigation happened and the federal government got involved, and where that's going to end up currently, no one really knows. But he's no longer a DA, but he gets to use the DA term on his identifier for the ballot.
Well, that's a fascinating thing, because I would, somebody like me looks at that and says, I was a former DA, must be somebody that you can trust.
Well, one thing I would tell you is really Google everybody. There is more information in these little phones that, nobody should say, oh, I don't know who it is, I'm not going to vote for him. Take a minute out, Google their name, find it out.
Yeah, we just got our whole packet last week, I think. The book that says what's going on, and I hate to say it, Fred, you must have been had a camera at my house or something, or watching me vote, because more often than not, I don't vote for judge unless I know somebody.
Exactly.
Because I don't feel that I'm qualified most of the time.
Only 20% of the public actually votes for the judges. And, we have politicians and we have judges, and judges really have more impact on our daily lives than our politicians, because the judges are the ones who are solving the problems or making the rulings that the politicians really create.
Yeah, and when we watch what's going on right now, we're seeing that all the time. There's a lot of people in Texas or in Florida that are not happy, or a couple of years ago, a lot of people in California. Well, California is a different story. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. More with the candidate, Fred Fascenelli. When we come back, we're going to also talk about today's home price appreciation is great news for existing homeowners. And in our Your Credit Matters segment today, is a calmer real estate market really coming? You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com. rsrhomescout.com. Hey, find out exactly what the market believes your property value is for different sources right there on the report. And if you're looking to shop for a new home, only source I know of that has 97% of the U.S. housing market is covered in there. You can get it all with no advertising. Find out what properties are available that match your criteria in the location you want. Today's home price appreciation is great news for existing homeowners. If you're planning to sell your home this season, rising prices are great news for you, but it's important to understand why prices are rising to begin with. One major factor is supply and demand in any industry. When there are more buyers for an item than there are that item available, prices naturally rise. In those situations, buyers are willing to pay more to get the product or service they're looking for when options are scarce, and that's exactly what's happening in the current real estate market. Selma Hepp, Executive Research and Insights and Deputy Chief Economist at CoreLogic, puts it like this, quote, with so few homes, buyers are once again left with fierce competition that's driving the share of homes that sold over the listing price up to 66%. With the continued imbalance between supply and demand, home prices are likely to have another year of strong gains and are expected to average about 10% growth for the year, unquote. Because it'll take some time for housing supply to increase, experts believe prices will continue rising. The latest home price expectation survey forecasts what will happen with home prices over the next 5 years. If you're watching us again, RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing a chart of what the experts say home prices will do. All of them are saying they will be going up. Now, again, home price expectation survey is of 100 experts. They come up with the numbers. So they're saying 2022, 9%, 2023 up 4.7%, 2024 up 3.67%, 2025 up 3.41%, and 2026 up 3.57%. These are national numbers in Southern California. We are higher than that generally. What this means when you sell your house, if you're a homeowner, the projection for continued price appreciation this year opens up an opportunity to move. That's because it may give your equity a major boost. Equity is the difference between what you owe on your house and its market value. The amount of equity you have increases as you make your monthly payments and as rising home prices drive up the market value for your home. Growing equity is a powerful tool for homeowners. When you sell your house, the equity you've built up comes back to you in the sale. That money could be enough to cover some, if not all, of your down payment on the next house. I suggest instead of selling the house, keep it. Take the money out with a home refinance, cash out refi, and then buy your next house using the first one as a rental property. Great tool for your retirement. If you want to know how much equity you have in your house, give me a call, 800-306-1990. What this means for your next purchase. Today's rising home values are not just good news if you're ready to sell, because price appreciation is forecast to continue in the years ahead. You can rest assured your next home will be an investment that should grow in value with time. That's one of the several reasons why real estate has been rated the best investment in a recent Gallup poll. Bottom line, if you want to plan on this, set up a game plan for you and your family, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Continue our conversation this morning. Fred Fascenelli is with us chatting about becoming a judge. So is becoming a judge, I mean, I don't want to sound crass, but I mean, you had mentioned that it's the next step. Is that almost, is that as hard or demanding work as what you've been doing for the last 20 some years?
It's exhausting.
Is it really?
First of all, if you want to read about me, you can always go to votejudgefred.com. Once again, it's votejudgefred.com. And you can read all about my history, where I grew up, how I came to Orange County. I find it to be an interesting story. But long story short, it is exhausting. You're always trying to educate people Most lawyers don't understand that when you're electing a judge, you're not electing a judge to a criminal seat or a civil seat or a probate seat. That is actually determined by the presiding judge, and the presiding judge, whoever sits in that seat, changes every 2 years. So there was this one judge, she sat in Department 36 for years as a criminal judge. And one day she came in and said, "Hey, guess what? You're getting moved to family." And she's like, "I don't want to go to family." "Well, we're moving you to family anyways." And then like Judge Espino, he was the public defender. He got appointed. And where did they put him? They put him in family court. This is a guy who knew all about the criminal court system. He knew all about how courtrooms run and how criminal cases are prosecuted and defended. And what did he do? He did family for 8 years. So it was only until recently that I had the pleasure of reconnecting with him in a professional way, which is doing trials with him. He was moved back up to the criminal department. So they put you where they need you. And right now, I'm going to tell you, they need a lot of family judges because, this is California.
Sure.
A lot of people get divorced here.
So that's interesting. So you would think that the presiding judge would say, okay, you've got family experience. We're going to put you in a family, and you've got criminal, and we're going to put you at criminal or whatever. You're like, was it David Fletcher, right? So you can play any position.
I try.
Right?
I try.
But you would think that it would be more logical, but they don't do it that way.
No, they really just, they because being a lawyer, we are trained to be able to interpret the law and listen to the facts as they're presented. And you're supposed to, as a judge, come up with a reasonable or fair verdict. So when everybody's saying, if you listen to these DAs who are saying, "I'm going to enforce the law, I'm going to enforce the law," hey, guess what? That's not their job as a judge. Their job as a judge is to be impartial and fair. And if they're saying, "I'm going to enforce the law," then they should run for sheriff. They shouldn't be
There you go.
for judge.
So it seems to me that it's almost impossible. I mean, you'd know better than me, but just as a lay person, so you get the legislature creates a law.
Yeah.
And you've got this law on the books. And, if a law has been on the books for any length of time, the way I understand it, and I'm sure you'll correct me, is then there's case law that kind of interprets what those laws, what the way the courts interpret the laws.
Yes.
You could have hundreds and hundreds of cases for one, 10-page law.
Without drilling down too deep on this subject, tomorrow I'm doing a closing argument for a trial, right? And the trial has to do with carjacking. And we all know that the standard carjacking is somebody grabs somebody and pulls them out of a car, right? Well, the terminology for carjacking is very nebulous. It says taking a vehicle from the immediate presence of the driver or passenger. So the question being is, if you're driving your car and you leave the key in the car and then you go into the gas station to fill up, and while you're filling up, they take your car and run off, is that carjacking? It's within the immediate presence. He could see it, but he wasn't really close to it. So and there are case after case. Well, this guy was 20 feet. This guy was 6 feet. This guy was 4 feet. This guy was in the car. So every case is a little bit different. And when you're looking at trial work, you're trying to assess, well, this case is more akin to, People versus Jones than People versus Smith. And the distinguishing facts are this and this and this. So I'm leaning more, it's like this. It is this or isn't that.
So then it almost sounds to me like the whole case then becomes which attorney is able to bring the most relevant data to the judge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And remember what the operative term there is, read the law, interpret the law to the facts as they're presented. We have in the United States, we have an adversarial system versus, say, in England, they have an inquisitor system. So as far as criminal law is concerned, if a defense lawyer is really, really on the ball and there's an event that happens, he goes down, he sends an investigator down, the investigator gets video, and he goes, "Oh, this is going to exonerate my defendant." And he opens it up. He goes, "Oh my God, this is terrible." He does not have to turn that over to the prosecution because the defense only needs to turn over those things that he intends to use at trial, right? However, in England, if that same scenario, the defense lawyer is required to turn it over to the magistrate and the prosecutor because they have an inquisitor system. The defendant must testify at his trial if asked to, things like that. Where in the United States, we have the Fifth Amendment, which says you don't have to testify at your trial.
So that goes back to what you were saying, I think, in the last segment, is that if the defense doesn't, if defense undercovers something, they do not have to share. But if the prosecutor finds something, they do have to share.
Yeah, so there are two sections, and one of them, 1050 of the penal, 1054 of the penal code says the DA must turn over all evidence to the defense, and 1054.3 says the defense must turn over that evidence that they intend to use at trial to the prosecutor 30 days before trial. Okay,
so now we know where it gets pretty fascinating. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a lawyer. I mean, I did go to school and I started going. I don't know if I told you this, Fred. When I went to Chapman College, was not a university back then.
Yep.
Right. So I was going to be a tax lawyer, and I said, boy, if I have to fill in all these papers and do all this paperwork, I'm out. So that lasted about a year. So I ended up with marketing management and accounting instead. But
what year?
Graduated in '84.
Oh my God! You graduated the year after I got there. I got there in '83.
Okay. Because you're saying I'm old. Okay.
No, we crossed paths.
Yeah.
I graduated in '88 from Chapman. Okay. So there we go.
Yeah, great stuff. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, more with the candidate, Fred Fascenelli, and is a calmer real estate market coming? You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It's wrong. They all are. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has a solution. Jeff Sipes and his team do a great job for the listeners of Ron Siegel Radio. Is a calmer market coming? The housing market is showing some early signs of normalizing. Contract signings dropped in March, the 5th consecutive month that pending home sales have fallen. The National Association of Realtors reported Wednesday the Northeast was the only major region of the U.S. that saw a monthly increase in contract signings. All other regions dropped. Quote, the falling contract signings are implying that multiple offers will soon dissipate and be replaced by much calmer and normalized market conditions, unquote. That's from Lawrence Yoon, National Association of Realtors chief economist. As it stands, the sudden large gains in mortgage rates have reduced the pool of eligible home buyers, and that has consequently lowered buying activity. The aspiration to purchase a home remains, but the financial capacity has become a major limiting factor. We've talked to you about this happening before. There are alternatives. Yes, we do have solutions to turn back the interest rates if you want. It's a strategy that we share with our private clients. If you want to know about it, give us a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That's Your Credit Matters segment, brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Continue our conversation. Fred Fascenelli is with us, candidate for seat number 22. Judge, that's just an Orange County. That's a local area?
From just north of San Onofre to just south of Long Beach to Brea to Newport Beach.
Okay, so that's something a little different than what I heard earlier. So in addition to the presiding judge telling you what you would be doing, then there's districts, for lack of a better term, that a judge seat covers?
Yeah, well, Orange County is at least reasonable because in Los Angeles there are 32 courthouses in Los Angeles that stretch from Van Nuys all the way down to Norwalk, right? And Orange County, we only have 4 courthouses. We have one off Jamboree, which is Harbor Court. We have one in Santa Ana, which is Central Court. We have Westminster right off Beach Boulevard and the 22. And we have the one over in Fullerton right off Harbor and the 91, right? That's it. I just happen to live in Orange, so it's really central for me. So wherever they want to send me, and I take that back. There's one right over by the block, right off of State College, City Drive. There's the family courthouse there, which I kind of forgot about. Sorry.
So there's no crime in South County, or at least there's no crime being adjudicated there.
Well, no, which is really sad because there's a lot of Orange County below Jamboree,
right?
And everybody, if they need anything done in the courthouse, they have to come. If you're down in the San Clemente, you have to come all the way up to Jamboree, which is a really long haul. There used to be a small little courthouse right off of over where Kaleidoscope is, that big shopping center.
Yeah.
And Crown Valley. There used to be one right off Crown Valley, but they closed that about 12 years ago. So anybody has to have anything adjudicated, you have to come all the way up to the main part of Orange County. And
I guess there are some people that get tickets down there and things like that.
Yeah, there's actually real crime down there. There's gang crime and stuff down in San Clemente that you really don't think about, because what you really think about is San Clemente is how beautiful it is.
Sure.
But yeah, there's all sorts of weird stuff that happens further down south.
We don't even want to go there, right?
No, but it really is a beautiful area. I just was down there the other day putting out vote Judge Fred signs, or Fred Fascenelli for Superior Court Judge. And I was out there with my sons. And
so with all the things that you've done in the law, is there some area that you find that you enjoy the most?
I will tell you this, that I've been a lawyer for 28 years, and I don't think I've really ever gone to work ever since I became a lawyer, because everything has just been a thrill. It is. If you look at criminal is the highest growing segment of the TV documentary type section, because it's that true crime story. And for the last 20 years, I've got to, be a part of that, which is, looking at these things or looking at that thing and evidence and this and people's testimony and what they saw and what they heard. And it's been just a great, great job. I really enjoyed it.
So maybe you could spend like 2 minutes or maybe a minute and help our audience understand what you helped me understand with respect to why we shouldn't hate criminal defense attorneys.
All right. So I will tell you that 2 things. Most criminal cases are not a whodunit. They are a what is it? And what I like to usually just refer to is, was it assault? Was it an assault? Or was it an attempted murder? So what you're looking at, was it just a good old fashioned bar fight? Or was the guy really trying to kill the guy? And the difference being is, one is punishable by either probation to up to 3 years.
Unless you're in Los Angeles, you just get out.
Then you just get out. And Los Angeles is crazy, and I don't want to go there right now.
Of course.
But so you're looking at up to 3 years in prison for an assault with a deadly weapon, or you're looking at 15 years to life for attempted murder with certain enhancements. So there's a really big disparity there between whether it's a this or a that. And if you ever want to look at just a fantastic I'll call it a documentary. Channel 9 did a case for me, which was Fullerton tire slashing. If you put in Fascenelli, Fascenelli, and you put in Fullerton tire slashing, you will see about this guy who caught this girl slashing his tires. He brought her to an ATM to get the money for slashing his tires. And she went home and told her mom she took the money out of the account because she was kidnapped and threatened with rape and murder if she didn't give this guy the money. Well, the cops came and arrested my client, who happened to be a previous convicted felon. And thanks to my investigator, he went out there the next day. He knocked on this guy's door and said, "Hey, is that camera work?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'll give you $300 if you can give me the video from yesterday in the next 15 minutes. He got me the video. And what did it show? It didn't show this girl being kidnapped and threatened or anything else. It shows this girl running around with this big knife about the size of a kitchen knife, plunging it right into my client's tires, and then running down this alleyway laughing. And then you show my client and his girlfriend chase after her and walk her back, show her the tire. And then he brings them to the ATM. They sit in the car while the girl goes to the ATM, pulls money out, and then they're nice enough and drive her home. And what do they get for that? They get charged with kidnap for robbery, and they were threatened with 7 years to life in prison. And it wasn't until I show up and said, "Hey, you should look at this." And when I did that and said, "Look, they didn't just not do it. They are innocent." The judge who was hearing that case was so angry at me because that hearing took more than 2 hour estimate. We estimated it was going to be 2 hours, and it took 3. And he was upset. "You're going past your time." Hey, don't you get it? These people are not guilty. They're actually innocent. So look at it. It's like a 3-minute little gig on the news, and it was awesome. The Register did an article on it, and so did the OC Weekly. And it just shows you there have been lots of times when, we always want to think the worst of people for some particular reason. I don't know why, but
I don't know that I think the worst of people. I just always think the best of police.
Well, the police take a report, and they can't be everything to everyone.
Right.
And I think it's really important in any job that we do is that we don't become jaded in the job that we do. We tend to see so many things, repetitively. We tend to, what's a good word? It's a reflex.
Sure.
That, oh, well, this is just like that other one, and this was just like that other one. But just like the law, every case is different, and it hinges on very subtle things.
So it's great having people that are doing what you're doing. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what I've learned from our conversations, is that it's even though we may be, in my case, I say, more often than not that I believe whatever the police have to say, which I probably 80 or 90% of the time they're not lying to us.
True.
There's bad people in every occupation, and there's tremendous people in every occupation. Going to be a judge.
I certainly hope so. And I have a very good rapport with all the police that I deal with, because I treat them very, very well. And the thing you have to understand is most police show up after the event. So
sure.
they're the ones who are taking notes and this and that. And on that tire slashing thing, I was talking to the police officer on the stand. I was like, "Hey, did you notice anything strange that day?" And it wasn't in the report. And he reflects back on it. He goes, "Oh yeah, everybody was changing their tires on that street for some reason." And I said, "You didn't put it in the report?" And he goes, "Well, it really didn't seem like it was something that was relevant until now."
Sure.
So, all right. So they're just doing, these are things that happen live, and you have to take all that information in and process it later for a fair and just verdict. And that's what being a judge is all about. And that's what you want in a judge. You don't want somebody who's, who has a predisposition to one side or the other. You want someone who is going to, because you never know, you might show up saying, "Hey, I want Fluffy this weekend, and I don't want the person who I share Fluffy with to have it this weekend."
So the bottom line, I know Fred. I've talked to him many times. He's been on the show, shared with me, educated me. I would say do what Fred said. right? Grab your device, whatever it might be, and do your homework, just like on every other candidate that's on the ballot. Do your own homework. I always like to look at the very bottom. Is what I do is I look at who's endorsing whom, because a lot of times that'll tell me where the values are of organizations. Not that I agree with every one of them, but it does give me an idea. But do some homework. Your life might matter. It might depend on it, or somebody that you care about, somebody that you love, might be dependent upon the decision that a judge makes, and maybe your vote had something to do with that. Appreciate you coming in and sharing with us and educating with us. And you said it's votejudgefred.com.
Yes, sir.
Vote Judge. We'll put that in the show notes as well.
You can email me from that site. The phone number is also on there. You can also call my office directly. I will return your call.
Appreciate you coming in. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean, who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. Talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.